Well, it's over. Last night was the conclusion of the Democratic National Convention. So, did they make their case? Well, let's get right into it and break down last night's winners and losers. Let's bring our company to discuss with us today. Media reporter for The Hill, Joe Concha, and Las Vegas radio host Steve Sanchez. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's. I want to go around the horn real quick and hand out some grades. So less chit chat, more grades on this one. All right, first, right off the bat, give me a grade, A to F. Joe Biden's speech. Lindsay, go.
B.
Steve Sanchez.
I'd say C.
Okay. Joe Concha.
D-. Absolutely.
D-?
Yeah.
Wow.
You,
I don't want Concha's class. I was going to give him a B+. I think, as I said at the beginning, he presented, this isn't a content. I think he delivered it well. And that doesn't mean you're good or persuaded anyone. He just gave a good speech. All right. Let's go to the hosts. There were four hosts, right? So you had Eva Longoria, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Kerry Washington. Who was the best host of all 4 nights? Joe Concha.
I got to go with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. You know, I'm a Seinfeld guy, so I'm biased on this one.
Fair enough. Steve Sanchez.
I have to agree. I'm a Seinfeld fan, so I'd have to go with Julia Dreyfus.
All right. Lindsay, are you keeping the train going down the train?
No, I'm going to switch it up. I kind of like Kerry Washington, to be honest. I thought that she was, she just kept it pretty plain. She wasn't trying to get in there and be crazy. She just kept it flowing. So, you?
Okay. I'm actually with the guys. I thought the one thing I thought was different, and again, this isn't like content, and so I just thought that she changed the tone a little. The other nights, I felt literally like I was watching a telethon. She mixed it up a little, which was maybe I was just so tired of the rest that I want something different. All right, there were a lot of videos. They introduced speakers. I actually thought that was done pretty well. Is there any segment that stood out to you? Like, for example, they had the Beau Biden segment. They had that young man who had the stutter. Is there any segment from last night or any of the previous that stood out to you as effective? And that doesn't mean it had to be persuasive, just really well done. Lindsay, is there a segment that you thought was really well done?
Yeah, I thought the intro video to Joe Biden, coupled with, if I can say, to the young man that had a stutter, I thought that really drove home the point. This is an overcomer, and for all the flack that he gets about not speaking well, they were trying to essentially say, hey, this is someone that's had an issue, and he helps, people that have it as well. So I thought that was a home run for them. They did a really good job with that setup.
Steve Sanchez.
I agree with Lindsay. Home run right there. And when you can make it personal and there's an intimacy, when it's politics on the shelf, how does that not work? How is that not effective?
Okay, Joe Concha.
Barack Obama, the former president. Obviously, we didn't see something from someone's home for once, which is kind of nice. To go to Philadelphia and to have that backdrop certainly looked presidential. So as far as optics are concerned, I thought that was the best moment from a presentation perspective.
Interesting. All right, give me your most awkward moment of this thing. I still think the Rhode Island calamari is up there. Joe Concha, what was the most awkward moment that you thought happened?
Oh, easily when Kamala Harris does her acceptance speech and she gets the applause at the end. But then the problem was that they had these Brady Bunch squares of 30 people, and several people were repeated in the squares. So that's a problem, right? That's simple organization, too, by the way. It's not like this thing wasn't pre-taped or anything like that, or someone couldn't just look at that, because the minute it went out, it went viral in a hurry. So that's just disorganization by the DNC.
Okay. Steve Sanchez, did you have an awkward moment?
I don't know if it's an awkward moment, but a moment that I feel I don't like, I guess you could call it awkward, is when they omit "under God" from the Pledge of Allegiance. I think that's a slap in the face to America at our center core, for me.
Yeah, that drives home a point that I want to get into. First of all, real quick, because I want to get to go follow up on what Steve said in a different way. Does anyone think that the Mike Bloomberg thing looked like he literally just wrote a check and said, I really, really want to speak, so how much is it going to cost? Because I need a very prominent slot and I want to talk for a lot. I thought that was horrible placement. And I literally kept thinking to myself, he had to have paid for this. Steve, do you agree with that?
Oh, there's no question he wrote a check. I mean, come on, and the Democrats love having him there. They're trying to make it like a slap in the face to President Trump. But yeah, absolutely, Bloomberg wrote a check.
Joe Concha, the thing that I thought was fascinating, I pointed this out, Lindsay and I talked about it a little during the week, is There was a moment in which during Guam casting its ballots, there were 2 soldiers sitting there. The Democrats said, the DNC said that it was an oversight. But the reality is Lindsay's the one who pointed this out, that this was a taped message. This didn't happen on live TV and they went, oops. They knew it and they still allowed it to happen, which is a major violation of the Universal Code of Military Justice. What I thought was more overwhelming or sort of concerning, and this is where I want you to weigh in, is the media ignored it and allowed them just to call it an oversight and brush it aside. These soldiers are going to have their careers torn apart because of this, because the DNC wanted a photo op.
And if this were, say, the RNC and the Trump administration and this happened, it doesn't become an oversight anymore. It becomes an egregious act that is an insult to the military and you know how it would go, right? So, yeah, that's the whole thing. I barely saw a fact check also during this entire Democratic National Convention as well. And trust me, there was plenty to fact check. So those will suddenly make a reappearance, a reemergence starting Monday.
Lindsay, we talked about this yesterday. Were you surprised that Hunter made an appearance, and if so, by how long?
I was surprised. I thought that he was just going to have an appearance after the speech. So I was surprised that he was even in the video at all, but I wasn't surprised that it was to talk about his dad's character and also his sister as well. So I thought that was, a light way for them to bring him in. So I guess I would say I was definitely surprised that he made such a big appearance in that video.
Steve Sanchez, were you surprised at all about the role that Hunter played?
No, I mean, obviously he's going to have to play a role. It's the vice president's son. I'm sure if the powers that be could make a choice to not have him there, they wouldn't, but there's no way, because if they didn't have him there, then it's a big, the Republicans are going to start chomping on that. So the DNC had no choice to have Hunter there and speak on his dad.
Joe Concha, we're out of time, but just before we get to the next segment, what would you give the DNC as a grade overall for the 4 days?
I would give it a D. I keep hearing how this speech was electric and this was an historic speech or this was a great speech. And I look at the numbers, Sean. 21.8 million people tuned in to watch Joe Biden last night. That's a 39% drop than those who watched President Trump in 2016 at the RNC. And there wasn't a pandemic going on that had everybody at home at that time. Those are horrible numbers for an acceptance speech. And that tells you that this was not resonating, despite what the media may have told you about how great this thing was.
Okay, well, that puts a wrap on the DNC. We head into the RNC next week, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about. I want you guys to stick around. Joe Concha's got to defend his title for the company quiz. Lindsay's been studying all week, and I know that Steve Sanchez has been enrolled in a bunch of online learning, getting ready for this. It's going to be great. Our company quiz is up next. Grab a pen, play along at home.